Colbyjack.net is proud to present From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. The people of the fire, the Blesa, led by their queens, have ruled the island of Alfeyju and oppressed the Driva, the people of the ice, for more than 16 generations. With the Drivian King in hiding and little hope on the horizon, the Driva looked to one person to save them from the vile Blesa, the Diviana. According to legend, the divinely gifted Diviana will one day overthrow the Blesa and restore the Drivian King to his rightful throne. But with the search having lasted for more than 400 years, will the Diviana ever come to light? Willow is the slave of the Raskpil family. Bought at the age of 4, 20 years have passed since her life irrevocably changed. Her existence is no worse than any other slave, but within, Willow wonders if there isn't something more she should be doing with her life other than serving the ungrateful. Ordered to travel with her master's family to Sondertoft, so her master's adult children can take part in an ancient rite of passage, Willow is shocked when she learns that she too must participate. Will she fail, as all before her have? Will she rise to the challenge and become stronger after passing through the flames? Episode 68.
"Who do you think is next?"
Sigurd asked.
"How could we know? We don't even know if the mist has any reasoning as to why it does what it does," Kalina said.
"It must have some reason," Sigurd protested, "or else why would it be putting us through all this?"
"It feeds off our pain," Hawk said. "Haven't you noticed the mist becoming thicker as every person is tested and fails?"
"He's right," Willow said. The mist, which had initially settled around them, was now much thicker. Before, they could at least make out the general shape of the trees surrounding the field. Now, even those blob shapes were impossible to see. "Everything that's been done to us has induced some sort of fear or pain. It's feeding off of us."
"Wonder how many people's pain it has fed off of in the past?" Sigurd asked.
Kalina answered him.
"Including all the soldiers who've died? Probably—"
Her voice stopped and squeaked.
"That can't be. No, that can't be." "Can't be what?" Hawk asked.
"And we have our next winner for our inductee into the Test Hall of Fame," Sigurd quipped, just barely holding back laughter at the glare he got from Willow.
"But how did this happen?"
Kalina appeared to listen for a second before saying,
"But we've been so careful."
Hawk opened his mouth to say something, but Sigurd cut him off. "Leave it alone. It's not worth it."
"Of course it's worth it," Willow said. "With an attitude like that, maybe we should just leave it alone when the mist starts its attack on you. Would you prefer we did that?"
Turning her attention to Kalina, she said,
"What is it, honey? Who are you talking to?"
Kalina, predictably, didn't answer her. She was on her feet and walking toward the mist, still staring at the same spot she started talking to only seconds before.
"Is there anything you could have done to prevent it? Surely, we don't have to turn out this way."
Hawk moved next to her.
"Prevent what? What are you seeing?"
His words must have penetrated her, because she looked at Hawk with distrust in her eyes.
"Leave me alone! Don't look at her!"
She took a few steps away from him.
"Don't look at me! I don't have to tell you anything!"
"Of course you don't have to tell him anything," Willow said calmly. "Why don't you tell me?"
"Never! Go away! I need to talk to her, and I don't need your interference!"
Kalina turned back to the imaginary person, who must have been speaking because she was nodding her head.
"Are you sure of this information? But what about—"
Kalina paused, evidently getting an answer to her question.
"Kalina, come sit down with us,"
Hawk said, taking a step closer to her. He tried to get an arm around her, but she avoided him.
"We can talk about this. Just come sit by the fire."
Kalina continued talking to the invisible person.
"Are you saying that bitch?"
"Who's the bitch?" Sigurd asked, looking interested finally. Then, before anyone could do anything, Kalina started walking into the mist, talking quietly to the non-existent person next to her.
"Come back here," Willow ordered, taking a few steps to follow, but the mist suddenly thickened even more. It was impossible to see where she had gone.
Another one bites the dust, Sigurd said nastily. Isn't this night turning out to be as restful as we all hoped?
Stop it, Sigurd!
Willow growled, not liking the sight of him. With all the time they'd been together, it seemed to her that this nasty side came out more and more when he was annoyed or simply uncaring about others. Why? Why should I stop? We all know that the next victim will be me, he said, not looking happy. Willow could be next, Hawk pointed out. No, the mist will test her last. That's how it always goes. The evil leaves the juiciest victim for the last possible moment. And to the mist, Willow is a juicy steak, just waiting to be savored.
You have such a way with words, Sig, Willow said.
That's because I'm a fighter and warrior instead of a poet, love. My words aren't fancy, and I don't sugarcoat the facts. Never would have made it at court, even if I had been invited.
Thought about going to court a lot, have you? Hawk asked, his eyes sharpening.
No, not really. Just an idea that came to me when...
Sigurd's voice trailed off as he suddenly stared off into the fog.
What are you seeing?
Willow asked in a tired voice. By now, she was very familiar with the signs that someone was being tested. The sentence that would never be finished, the far-off look, the unfocused gaze, the almost twitching of the head and ears as they heard sounds and voices not there. Willow felt she could have written an entire book on the subject, and the almost completely futile effort it was trying to get the affected to answer any question coherently and listen to you.
Why are we even trying? Hawk asked, even as he got to his feet to follow Sigurd, who'd taken a few steps into the mist.
Because he's our friend.
Sigurd looked down at the grass.
How did this happen? The plan.
How did what happen? Hawk asked from his position next to Sigurd.
What?
He asked vaguely, as if not hearing what Hawk had said. Then he turned and looked at Hawk full on, realizing he'd said something.
Can't you see?
Sigurd asked, waving his hand at the area he'd been talking to.
No,
Hawk said. I can't.
Only you can see it. Why don't you come sit down and tell us what you're seeing?
You can't see? He repeated, ignoring Hawk's offer. Really?
Really,
Willow said tentatively. Sigurd wasn't acting like the others. He seemed a little distressed, but not to the same degree as the others. He wasn't freaking out. He wasn't crying or screaming or denying that whatever he was seeing was real. Something very weird was going on. Very suddenly, especially after the night they'd had so far, Sigurd beamed. He didn't smile, or smirk, or half-smile, or anything else to indicate happiness. He beamed. This was the happiest Willow had ever seen him.
Sigurd, why are you so happy?
Hawk asked, sounding as surprised as Willow. Because you can't see. You don't know. He turned back to whatever was in front of him and said, Tell me everything.
Sigurd, you shouldn't be listening to anything it's saying. You can't believe it, whatever or whoever it is,
Hawk warned, moving in front of Sigurd. Get out of the way, he ordered, shoving Hawk out of the way very easily, too easily to Willow's eyes. Hawk fell from the sudden force Sigurd produced. Sigurd heard Hawk's curses and laughed maniacally, crazily. Willow helped Hawk to his feet.
Has the mist possessed him? She whispered,
watching Sigurd murmur into the mist.
I didn't think it could. But how else can we explain his sudden strength? What are we going to do?
Nothing, Val answered, speaking for the first time since the mist had descended upon the group. If the mist has possessed him, he invited it. The mist cannot possess the unwilling.
He won't stay possessed, will he?
She asked, looking at her friend with worry and a hint of fear. No, Val said. The mist can only possess someone long enough to show them what they wish to see, and then it will depart. But he has failed his test, and no longer has a chance of receiving the real gift the mist will impart to those who pass.
What could he want to see so badly that he'd allow himself possessed?
Adelina asked, turning her head to look at the possessed man.
I don't know, But it must be important to allow himself to be possessed. So he is possessed. That would explain his sudden turn to darkness and... Hawk said as Sigurd laughed aloud, sending shivers down Willow's spine. And craziness. He's not crazy, she argued. Of course he is. No sane person lets themselves be possessed. Would you? No, she admitted. We don't know what the mist offered to show him. It could be something important to our quest. It's not. For what I've seen tonight, the mist is not a benevolent entity, granting wishes like fairies and godmothers. It is malevolent through and through, or else it wouldn't have tortured our friends or haunt a place called the Field of Blood. Then before their eyes, a wall of fire surrounded Sigurd. It rose from his feet to above his head, completely masking Sigurd from Willow's sight. Then it flashed a dazzling white color, blinding Hawk and Willow. When their visions had cleared of spots, they saw the fire, and Sigurd gone. Where'd he go? Willow asked, panicked. An unearthly cackling suddenly filled Willow's ears. It was louder and more horrible than anything Willow had heard before. She put her hands over her ears to stop hearing it, but it penetrated the meager defense she presented it. As the laughing continued, Willow suddenly heard the voice speak, the same voice she'd been hearing all night. The voice, cruel but genderless, said, You shouldn't worry for the boy. He fell for my tricks easier than any in the past. He's such a weak-minded person you keep near you. Not that I didn't enjoy possessing his fragile mind, but I'd rather have possessed your protector. He was a worthy adversary. Will you be as worthy? I won't let you possess me! Willow yelled, her hands still over her ears. Her voice was barely louder than the renewed laughter, which had again risen in volume. What's going on? Hawk yelled, pulling on Willow's arms, trying to get her to answer him, but she ignored him. She had a bigger and more important foe to focus on now. The laughter dissipated into the mist. I would never dream of possessing you, Willow of the fire and ice. You I have a special surprise for. Come closer to the fire. Look within its depths. Why should I? Willow asked, putting her hands down. You can show me nothing I have any interest in. But I do, child. I am the mist of this bloody field. I have seen thousands die at the hands of their fellow man. I foresaw all their deaths. I can foresee anyone's future I choose to, and it is always right. Circumstances may change, and the events may unfold a little differently, but the outcomes are always right. If you want to pass my test, you must look into the fire and see your future. Is it the only way? She asked, trying to deny the inner curiosity she felt. The only way, the voice confirmed. Look into its depths and see your fate. Willow moved closer to the fire and looked at the flames. At first she didn't see anything except the fire. Then she could see something, a hall, a great palatial hall. Willow saw herself standing in front of a throne where a person sat. She couldn't tell if the person was a man or a woman, but she appeared to be talking to them. A different man came from behind her. Before her eyes, she saw herself stabbed in the back. The blade went through her entire body, for she saw the tip of the blade sticking out of her front. You have been listening to From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. Read, recorded, mastered, encoded, and produced by Colbyjack.net. This work is released under a Creative Commons 3.0 Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Do what you want with it, just don't try to profit from it. Heaven knows we can't. If you have any questions, comments, or rants you wish to share with us, we can be reached at Colbytracks at Colbyjack.net. That's COLBYTRAX @COLBYJACK.net. Yep, I sing it too. If you want to follow the exploits of Trisha in Twitterland, just search for Lady Trisha W on Twitter, or follow the ever-dashing, courageous, hardworking, intelligent, and immensely humble Colbytracks on the Twitters as well. If you find that you can't just wait to find out what will happen with Willow, the strong dude and the annoying dude, be heartened to know that From the Flames is available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords, as well as from our little shop. Didn't you know about our little shop? Why, yes, we have a little shop located at shop. That's shop.colbyjack.net. That's shop.colbyjack.net. Yeah, real original there. There you will find the latest ebook versions of all our works in both Mobi and ebook, all DRM-free, as well as audiobook versions of such works as Firmware Hijacked and Proxy, as well, naturally, as well as From the Flames. The audiobooks differ from the podcasts in that the headers and bumpers only run once, and the episodes are grouped into hour-long episodes for easy burning to CD or for downloading on the go. If you find you don't need any stuff, but just want to thank us monetarily for our efforts here, just head on over to Colbyjack.net, select either audio or visual, and look for the donate button located on the blog roll. Well, anyway, thank you for listening, have a wonderful week, and remember to be fabulous.